morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. I'm showing you the outside first. It's snowing here in Vermont. It's about 8 a.m. Hey, I'm going to do some handles for my friend Lisa in Australia, having some troubles. First I'm going to let my chickens out because I hear them. I don't know if you all can see the snow. Hey, Adriana. Hey, I'll flip it to me first to everybody. Hey, yeah, it's about 47 degrees in my studio, which is kind of cold. Hey guys, and outside it's about 28 Fahrenheit, so I don't know what that is. Hey guys, I don't know what that is in Celsius for everybody. So here's my chickies. They're gonna come out of the coop. It's cold. Good morning, girls. You want to come out? Here they come. We're just doing quick good morning chickens. They're like, what the heck is this white stuff? Yeah, it's cold. Come on, guys. All right, so they're gonna eat. We're gonna go inside the studio and we're gonna make some handles. I'm gonna feed them first quickly, so hang on. What a way to start your Sunday morning. In Vermont, feeding some chickens. Come on, chick, 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 chick. They don't want to come around the corner because they have to walk on the snow. Come on, girls. Nope, they said forget. I think they went back inside. I'm in southern Vermont. They went back in. Look at that. No, wait. Do you want to come out? It's snowing now. It just started about an hour. I know. Look how slow she's going. She's like, oh, this sucks. Here, I'm going to be nice and I'm just going to, I'm going to put their food in here. I don't usually leave it in here because then they make a mess. Yeah, we're going to get snow all day. There they go. Go, get in. Hey, you're missing the deal. Are the other artists on Periscope like the Potters of Periscope? I don't know. I mean, the Potters are. Yeah, so they're going to have their breakfast. We're going to go make some handles. Yeah. So if you look, I don't know if you can see up on the mountain, it's snowing up there a lot still. Am I married to a farmer? No. I just have chickens. And I'm a potter. I'm a ceramic artist. So we're going to go back in. How do you find things you want to watch? No, I'm married. I'm just not married to a farmer. I don't know. You just find someone you want to follow. That's my messy kiln shed. Yeah, this is my studio. I'm going to flip it around. I got my beanie on. It's too cold. Oh no, we're going to have to block that. Alright, we're going to... Alright. So I've got some cups. I'm going to get to actually making clay work. So I got these cups I hand built yesterday. So actually I think, no, yesterday I was, can't remember what day it is. Hey, yay, clay, yeah. So these I hand built Friday. Yesterday I was at an art talk. I saw Roberto Lugo up in Burlington City Arts Center at the show called Dysfunction we're both in. And it was great, and I did a little scope of the exhibition, and it's still up, so check it out if you haven't seen it. So I'm grabbing a Dun mug to show. This is really for Lisa. Lisa, are you here? These, I saw my work, yeah, but these are brand new. I've never hand-built mugs before. Oh, thanks, Adriana. Yeah, it was a pleasure to be part of that show. All right, so this is a slab-built mug that I made the other day, and these are my handles, and they look kind of messy because I put porcelain on top of the red clay in bed watching me. Okay, I'm going to get to some handles. I'm going to show you how I make this. I make a strap handle that I roll out from a coil. And I'm going to show you here's a Dun handle. So here's a throne mug, and here's a handle that I'm going to make one similar to this, just slightly different shape. So this is the reference we're using. I'm going to pull it over here, and I'm going to sit it by my situation. All right. Back. I'm going to hook you up into my tripod. Whoa, I know, Lisa, and you know they are not that complicated. I think you've got a lot of people helping you, and it might be too much information, is what I'm thinking. So bear with me. I'm gonna find there we go. Find me on iPad so I can see your comments. while I'm working. It's kind of weird looking at yourself in time delay. All right, so I'm just going to start with a coil of clay. And so if you see me looking off to the side, it's because I'm looking at my iPad to read the comments. So I'm going to start with this lump of clay. Actually, I want to move my iPad up. I'm going to move my slop bucket out of the way. I wasn't sure how this was going to work out. I'm just going to put it down here. And I'm going to put the iPad here. The key is to not drop the iPad in the slip bucket, right? Okay, now I'm good. All right, so I'm starting with this big fat coil. And what I want is just a smaller coil. So I'm going to roll it out. And you can also pinch out a coil. And so I'm starting with a piece like this. And I have 11 mugs to do, so I'm going to roll out as many as I can from this chunk, and then I have more over there. So you guys are up late down there, Lisa and Adriana. Like midnight? So I'm just going to get a few started. Alright, so they're not that big. You can see it's not a great big lump. And I roll it out until I have something like this. So it's really a coil. It's not even perfect. It's kind of messy. 10, 15. Oh, that's not that bad. No, and I kind of want the ends to be a little thicker than the middle, almost a dog bone shape. I did a workshop a few years ago with Jen Allen, and she really changed the way I make handles. And she actually has a DVD out through Ceramic Arts Daily, and I think you can download it too. And she has like basics, of pottery basics. Yeah, she makes amazing handles. So here's my handle starting out. 1:15 in the UK in the afternoon, right? So I just pull, and I'm kind of starting about a third of the way down. The way clay feels in the cold. Not really, but I have a trick. In my water, I have I don't know if you guys can see that. Maybe I can. No, I'm not going to mess with it. I don't want it to fall. This is a fish tank heater. See? And it's plugged in. Here's its cord. And I keep that in my water. Yeah, I'm good. I'm not going to dump it in. And what I do when I come out, if the water's not warm enough, I keep an old electric tea kettle in the studio, and I'll just put some water in this and heat it up. Yeah, I showed that. So I'll heat water up in my kettle, and I'll just top off my throwing water with it, and that kind of gives the water a little boost. Heating pad on your clay. Yeah, so it gives the water a little boost, so it warms it up. So I'm just pulling this strap out and down. You know, I'm kind of messy with it. I use a lot of water. This one's actually a little wider than I would want. So I'm squeezing in a little more. So basically you just want like a strap. And it's almost even all the way through. I'm not really worried about one side being thicker than the other. So you can see it'll be kind of like that. So I squish this, can you see? So I try to squish mine like this so that they can dry a little more, and I'll let them set for about 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, and then put them directly on the mugs. I don't pull them the day before and wait. I try to get it done as fast as possible because I don't want to risk the handle being drier than the mug or vice versa. And Lisa, I think you were asking about them being at the same point, and that is ideal. Like you do want your mugs and the handles to be at the same stage of dryness when you do it. So I'm going to pull another. I don't know if these will be dry enough to stick on or not. We had 68 degrees on Thursday here. And then today we have, I'm sorry you guys can't see what I'm doing, I'm messing around over there at the water. And then today is 27. It's like crazy April weather in Vermont. I have my camera and my iPad. Yeah, well, my iPhone cups are drier than handle. I try to do my work process so that I make my cups one day, cover them really well, and the next day put the handles on them. Camera, iPhone, yeah, iPhone's doing the recording. My handles, this is a finished handle on a throne cup. So you can see, you know, that's the shape. And the handle I'm making today is going to be one of these. So it's a strap handle. It'll be okay in the AM. Lisa's porcelain. Okay. Yeah, even when I do porcelain, I just the way I work in my process, I will make mugs one day and do other things throughout that day, and then the next day when I come to the studio, the first thing I do is I check. I sell my work here in my studio and some local galleries, and I'll get to that. I can talk more about that in a minute. I don't want to lose my train of thought. So I will make my mugs during one day, the next day come out, check the dryness of the mugs the next morning, and if they're ready, I'll pull handles right away. Hey, Barcelona. And then I'll let them sit up for about 20 minutes and put them on the mugs right away. And I get that done, and then I start the rest of the day's work. Good morning, yeah. I try not to have a lot of time passing between making the mug and the handle. Like, I want that to happen as soon as possible. And I guess potentially if I did a mug in the morning, and, oh, you're in Saratoga. Cool. Yeah, I used to be an artist in residence at Saratoga Clay Art Center. They're out in Schuylerville, just heading towards Schuylerville. Heading towards Vermont, actually. And they're great. Alright, so here is another handle. So I've got 3 handles made here. And you have Landon Rupert. Yeah, so you must come over here a little bit. Plaster calculation. Oh. I don't know that off the top of my head. Someone else on here is going to have to jump on and answer that, because I can't. I always did the method where you put your plaster in the bucket and it's a mound, and then you pour your water over it until the plaster is completely saturated. And once the saturation happens, you just stir it up and that's it. So, hey, Australia? Another one from Australia. So I'll pull another. If I had planned better, I would have had a bunch done. And the island method, yeah. If I had been planning, although I didn't plan to make handles at 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning, I thought I'd do this afternoon, but I'm actually taking my daughter to see The Lion King. The Broadway production is traveling right now, and they're over in Schenectady at Proctor's. So I'm going to see The Lion King this afternoon with her. I know, I'm taking her and her little friend, and we're gonna go. It's so awesome. Alright, so once I make my handle, and they've set up enough, I like to cut. So if you saw my handle, I'll grab it again. You'll see that I do this. I don't smear my handle in. I like it to have a decorative element right here when I attach it. And I've started doing that with all my handles. I used to smear the handle into the clay body so that they blended, but I always felt there was an awkwardness where it was coming out, and you could tell it just didn't match exactly. I know some people out there do a great job of making a match. I don't know if you could see. So there's the detail. It's kind of hidden because of the slip that I put on here, but you'll be able to see it once it's glazed. And the way I get that is I use a cookie cutter, and this is a flower, but you can use any shape you want. I think this was the first one I made. Move it over here. It might be a little wet. Yeah, I saw that he did that. I was like, yay! Yeah, that's awesome. Great minds think alike, right? I had been doing, I used to hand cut them and to get the pattern, and it wasn't exactly right, and I started using cookie cutters to make small dishes, you know, because you can get big cookie cutters. And then I was like, oh, I could just use the cookie cutter. So I take my handle, and I need to flatten and thicken the part I'm going to cut out, thin it out, I mean, because it's a little thick. And then I just line this up, move my hand out of the way, and you just press down. I don't know if you can see the shape. So I'll come in here and squeeze this a little bit to refine it. And so I get that. It looks like a dog paw, right? Like a little paw. It's cute. And so let me grab one of these guys that's ready. So here's a mug that I did the other day. So one way you can figure out how big you want your handle is you can actually put the handle up to it, engage it, and decide where you're going to cut off the bottom. The other thing you could do, if you don't want to do that with your handle because you don't want to risk mushing it, is you can roll out a coil, and this coil is my measure coil, and I believe Jen Allen is the one who does this, who taught me this. And so you have a length of coil, and you take it and you put it on your mug, and you can say, you know, do I want my mug handle to be like this? Do I want it to be like this? And so you figure out the length your handle has to be. That's a little long, I think. And you just keep, you know, I'll just put this, so I'm thinking like this, because I want, yeah. So I'm thinking like, about this is the length I want. So then you take this and put it on your, you know, I can lay them on each other and say, okay, I want to be about here. Like this much has to come off to match my measure. And so I do the same thing as I had done before, where I squeeze it to thin, because I'm going to cut it, and I like to make it a tiny bit longer for the first bit, because I can always take more off by eye, no measures. No, I'm just eyeing it. And each handle will be a different length, because it depends on the mug. Even though these are hand-built from a template, they are slightly different, so I might want one to be a little bit larger. I don't like my work to be exactly the same, like a machine made it. So I'm going to do the same thing, and just press down, and pop that off. So now I got my dog paw again. I'm just going to squeeze it out. So now I have both ends. So theoretically, you know, you could just have a whole bunch of these pre-cut, laying, drying, waiting to go on your mug. And I don't need my measure anymore, but I'm going to keep it because I'll use it again, so I'm just going to sit it to the side. And so now I look at the mug. These, because they're slab built, they have a seam. Thank you, Lynn. And I want to find that seam, which is, surprisingly enough, kind of hard to find. I did a good job hiding it. It's right here. So it's a little thicker in a few spots here. And I hide my seams on my slab-built pieces because I go back once it's rounded and I stamp over the seam. And that presses it in and kind of hides it because the pattern's seamless going over that join. So I'm going to put that there. That's the spot I want it to be. Let me see. Grab my serrated rib over here. So I'm going to use a serrated rib, and I'm going to score the back of my handle, the part where the handle is going to join the mug, and I'll lay it up against the mug, and it will leave a little bit of slip behind so I know where to score on the mug. And I do slip and score. This is just my throwing water that I'm using to work with. There's nothing in it except the clay that I made the pieces out of. I do the same thing whether it's porcelain. This is a brown stoneware. Okay, so this is the Laguna 90. It's their brown stoneware, which I cover with a porcelain slip. Usually I work in porcelain. This is a porcelain, cone 6 porcelain, this piece here. I don't do anything different whether I'm in porcelain or stoneware. I just work one way, and no matter what kind of clay I'm working with, I do it that way. Alright, So let's stick this sucker on. I'm going to try to turn it so I can show you guys while I do it. So there's my seam. And I'm just going to check. You know, I like to see if that size is going to be the right size. I know I measured, but sometimes, you know, you cut it a little too long. I think it's a little too long. I'm going to take a bit more. I'm going to take a bit more off the top. And it's always best to leave a little extra, right? Okay, that's going to be good. Yeah, so that little strap, I don't know if my hands are in the way. Hold on. So you can kind of see. So this is a lot wetter than I would like to put the handle on, and it may not even hold itself up. It might just collapse. So I slip and score here because this part here is going to touch the top of the mug, and this is going to be where it touches at the bottom. Make sure there's a seam. So I'm just going to hold this up. So I'm holding it up. I'm just lightly pressing. I'm not sticking it on yet. I'm just kind of getting an idea for the size. The handle's really wet, so it's not going to be a great shape. I can work with it. It's just not where I'd like it to be. And I don't usually rush drying. I don't use I just don't have, like, you know, the stuff like a heat gun or anything right handy. Alright, so we're going to try it. We'll see if it'll stay. So, I don't know if you can see this. I want to show you, Lisa. So where I pressed the handle, I don't know if you can see the wet goop. Yeah, you can see it there on the bottom and the top. Where I pressed the scored handle, you can see it left a bit of slip behind. And I'm not going to dip my serrated rib back in the slip again because there's already some on it. I'm just going to score that little area. Yeah, so I'm just doing little score marks with my serrated rib. And it's just, you know, the regular metal serrated rib, but use whatever you've got. If you don't have that, it won't make a difference. So I start with the top. I join the top while I'm holding. I don't know if you guys can see. And I just pinch in the handle. It kind of smushes on. I don't want to crush the shape too much because I really want to keep it. And it spreads out really nicely. And now I'm going to line up the bottom. And when I go to the bottom, I flip my mugs up just so I can line it up to the top. And I'm just rolling my fingers gently. You see it squishing out. And there's not so much slip on here that it's squishing out from the join. It's staying in. Alright, so that's on. The shape is not where I want it because the handle is still really wet. You can see how flat it is back here. I mean, that might be alright as a strap handle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit it upside down on a shelf with this part hanging off for about 20 minutes. And then I'm going to flip it back over and I'm going to adjust it to where I want it till it makes the shape that I like. But you can see, I mean, you can kind of see the pattern right there. Vanos region, is that to me? Who's that to? Alright, so I'm just going to sit that back behind me on that shelf. And that will dry, and then I'll grab another one. Another mug. So usually I would pull these guys, they would hang out. I would do trimming bowls or trimming whatever I had going on, smoothing the edges of some platters or something. And then that would give me enough time to get back to them and work on them. And if I thought I wasn't going to get to them right away, I would pull them and leave them covered, but not more than a couple hours. Because if you wait too long, they do get too dry, and what happens is everything cracks. And you can see see how shiny and wet this is? Much easier than pulling. Yeah, I don't pull off the mug. I learned to pull off the mug, and I never really liked it that much. I really like to make my handle a certain way, and that's, you know, what I want to do, and so this is how I make it. But there's no right way. I mean, if something works for you, fantastic, go with it. Yeah, I just, even when I want to look like the handle grew out of the body of the mug, I don't pull it off the mug. I've never had good results. It just, you know. So kudos to those who do it, because it's a thing. It's a big skill, you know. All right, so here's another one, and I've widened out the bottom and top so that I can cut them. I'm going to cut one side first, like I did before. And then I'm going to use my measure so I know where to cut it. If you find when you've rolled out your handles, like if they won't stand up, you can always just lay them on their sides. Like there's no reason you can't do that. And that's nice because you can sort of pre-shape it while it dries. Like you can make it more, I don't know if you can see this shape here that I've got going. You know, so that's not a bad shape already. So you could just lay them out here on a board and let them set. And so your shape's made, and then you can just cut where you want to put it if you don't want to cut the ends off with a cookie cutter, like I did. Alright, so here's another slab-built mug. Get my measure. Yeah, so this coil, I mean, this is the length that I had pre-cut, and I don't know, I think it's pretty good. Well, it could be a little bigger. So the great thing about this coil is I can just make it a little longer by pinching it or rolling it, and now I get the extra length that I was looking for my measure. Yeah, so that's a good size, I think. So then you can straighten them out if this works better for you. You can straighten it out and see where you have to go to. So I need to go to here, so I'm just going to use my fingernail. Why score the handles, not the cup? Because I don't know where on the cup the handle's going to fit. So I have to score, I score the handle, lay the handle against the cup to get the spot that I want, and that leaves behind the slip so I know where to score. So I do score the mug, but I score the mug part after I score the handle. I'll show you again. Yeah. It makes sense because I have no idea. If I score here right now and here right now, I'm kind of saying that's where my handle's going to attach on those two spots. Unless I want to have to go back and wipe it off and rescore, which you can do. It just is more work, and it can make a mess on the surface of your piece. This has a lot of stamping, and I don't really want to do that. I want it to join where it's going to be the first time. So I'm going to do my scoring. Sunday morning scoring. Not what I thought I'd be doing. So yesterday I had a lovely day up in Burlington. It was so amazing. And to see Roberto Lugo talk live is always a treat. I just love him so much. And I was scoping the show after, and he scope bombed me by popping in before he had to head out, which was so great. And did he rap? He did in his talk. He had, you know, he would talk a bit and show some of his work, and then he'd do a little rap every once in a while, you know, when it fit. But he's amazing. You know, he's so creative, and just, he's such a poet. I'm always, every time that I see him speak, I'm like awed. And he's a wonderful human being. You know, some people are just so generous and honest, and that's Roberto. So, you know, I'm going to start crying because I got teary during the talk. It's just, you know, so amazing. Oh, hi from Paris. Sweaty socks. I saw him last year in Sikatulin. I was in the back because I just got in right before the talk started, and there was no room. So Lisa, again, I'm going to stick this on, and you know, this is where I want my handle to be, and I'm going to pull it away. And again, you can see, you teared up. Yeah, it was amazing. You can see the slip marks. So I'm just going to, now I'm just going to take my rib, which has still a tiny bit of slip on it from doing the handle, and I'm just going to do, you know, crisscross pattern in those two spots. And the clay is still wet because remember, I just made it. You know, this clay is, I just made these Thursday and I left them covered. So I start with my top and just press it on. And because everything is so wet, it's joining very well. Like, and then there's the bottom. And again, I flip it over so I can see what I'm doing. And I want to press this out, and you can see the form kind of press out a bit. You see my handle flattening because it's too wet. Now, if any slip squeezes out, I will go back in with a little rubber tip tool, a blending tool for pastels, and I'll smooth that out. And I'll do that anyhow with all my pieces. So I don't know, let's stand it up and see what happens. See if we can get the shape to be good. That's not bad. It's pulling away a little here because it's too wet. I'm going to flip it over. Alright, so we'll flip that with the other one. So that's 2. I've got 9 more to do. I think I'm going to wait and let this clay sit up. Cool! You're going to try it this morning? That's awesome. Yeah. I'm going to let that sit up a bit because these handles are a little wet and I've got to pull some more. And then I'll get the rest of these done. And that's it. I just wanted to try to show an easier way for you, Lisa, because I've seen all these scopes over the last few weeks with you trying to figure handles out. And they are tricky when you're first learning, but I don't want it to be overwhelming for you. Aw, you know, I don't want you to be overwhelmed because it's just clay. You just stick it on, right? And I know when I was learning, my professor said the hardest thing that they ever did was to make handles. And she told me that, and it kind of was like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to know how to make handles really fast. And so all I did was make handles for like a week. And I would take and I would throw a big mug, and all I would do is cover it with handles. So I'd put like 10 handles on a mug, and it would look absolutely ridiculous, but I got very good at sticking handles on. And I won't say that in a week I was really good, but I felt that after that huge devotion of time that I'd gotten good enough that I could make a fairly decent handle. And you know, and then you think about other things as time goes on, like, you know, how it fits in the hand and the different size hands of the user. Yeah, practice, practice, practice. Like, my hands are rather small hands, so for me a little tiny cute handle is nice, but you know, somebody that's 6'4" or something might find that little tiny handle uncomfortable, so you got to think about those things. So I'm trying to find that happy medium, right, where I like it and other people will like it too. So anyhow, I hope that helped, Lisa. You know, and if you have any questions, hit me up. You know, you can message me privately if you want. And visually, you don't understand. Yeah. You know, we could do a private scope if you want some more one-on-one. I'm more than happy to do that. So my suggestion for knowing like a good shape for making a handle is just look at a lot of handles. And the ones that you like the most are the ones you should try. Like when you see a mug and you go, I love that handle, try making that handle because visually you're attracted to it. And you know, put your hands in some mugs and see what feels the best and try to replicate that. And that's, you know, that's kind of the way you learn, is just through experiencing it. Yeah, I like simple too. I'm all about it. Alright guys, well it's Sunday. I'm going to make some more handles and then I'm going to get ready to take my daughter to go see The Lion King. I don't think they'll let me scope when you miss, well, yeah, critique. That'll come with time. That'll come with time. Alright guys, you take care. Happy Sunday, and I'll catch y'all later. Bye. You're welcome. I will. Thanks guys. Yeah. Alright. Bye.